right? We uploaded on YouTube for sure. Okay. So lastly, we were doing our chapter respiratory system where we were discussing about lungs and all. See, now it is because on Zoom meeting, so there will be a limitation that I might not be able to use this board wala things and all, right? So the diagrams and all the things I will try to actually put the diagrams in the group itself, right? So you people just try to have a sense of imagination for today's session so that you people can at least imagine whatever I'm explaining to you all, right? Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm repeating the fact that attendance will be marked for those who will be having their videos on. For today's session, the attendance will be marked that way, right? Because it's not the Zoom YouTube live session, so that we will be having the chat box wala system for attendance, right? Yeah. So lastly, we discussed about respiratory system. Respiratory system is what? जो system हमारे लिए use होता है for breathing in and breathing out. The major gaseous exchange system of our body, right? जहाँ पे हमारी सारी gases, the prime gases of for our body are CO2 and O2, right? उसी का जो major exchange होता है जिस system के through that we call respiratory system. और उसमें हमारा major organ system आता है lungs वाला, right? So we were actually discussing about the physiology of that, जिसमें हमने देखा कि कैसे हमारा pharynx, larynx are starting from this mouth itself, then they are party in different forms, and then the different structural things we have already discussed, जिसमें हमने pharynx के बाद पहले जो हमारा nasal cavity से शुरू होता है एक proper cavity, जहां से हमने देखा कि how pharynx is originated, pharynx then finally converting into larynx, and this larynx is the voice box which is generally here. Like I can't actually tell this because this whole fraction is actually so joined outside that we can't fractionize it, right? If we see this from this area, then starting from this nose wala part, this is the nasal cavity, right? From this area it is the pharynx, which is the sort of windpipe for your mouth part, right? Below this there is larynx. Larynx is this in neck area, right? जिसमें तीन parts होते हैं. So the three parts then finally extended in the larynx. Sorry, in the trachea. Trachea is this यहाँ से लेके chest region तक होता है हमारा, right? जहाँ से फिर हमारे lungs start हो जाते हैं from the fifth vertebral what we call that fifth vertebra of our spine, right? Spine is this the area which we can feel the hardened part, right? Fifth thoracic vertebra से हमारा lungs start हो जाते हैं. That is the part or that is the point जहाँ पे trachea खत्म हो जाता है. So till trachea हमने पूरा explain कर लिया था in the last session, right? I hope no any doubts are there. If any doubts are there, just write in the chat box itself. I will not be allowing you people for keeping your mics on in this meeting as well, because it will be a very much chaotic situation, right? Because all will be starting speaking. So any questions are there, doubts are there, just write in the chat box. I will keep on reading and will be replying you all, right? Yeah, giving you 2 minutes or 1 minute, not more than that, because already we have wasted so much time today. Hanji. Okay, that's good. So the trachea is ending into bronchi. From the very part when bronchi are coming, then it is actually already starting lungs. Lungs are attached to bronchi in such a way, just like your specs are attached with the ligament sort of the parts, right? So bronchi are extended this way, right? And this is the whole lungs wala area, right? So lungs के अंदर enter करते ही the bronchi are then called as bronchioles, right? These bronchioles are further branched into extended part which we call as bronchioles, right? And then after that there will be a partition we call alveoli. Alveoli are the final end part which is responsible for gaseous exchange, right? So we will be discussing about all these in detail today, right? अभी तक का basic structural planning is clear, कैसे कहाँ से क्या चीजें आ रही हैं, right? starting very basic from this nasal cavity till the part we call lung, right? Lungs को हम separately discuss करेंगे. So today my plan was to actually finish with the lungs part, but I don't think so. In half an hour we will be able to do so, right? Tomorrow we will finish up with the respiratory system by explaining lungs as well and the gases exchange process as well, right? And maybe if any one or two sort of diseases we will able to cover tomorrow, right? Okay, so trachea is anyway going to end into bronchi. Before bronchi, we need to know about the functions of trachea. So trachea is actually ensuring the passage of air. है ना, trachea एक hard cartilaginous like ring से बना होता है. If you try to touch your neck, right, you will feel the rings. है ना, कुछ hardened से parts होते हैं, just like a circular things are there, one after the other, one after the other, right? So it ensures the passage of air from the larynx to the bronchi. यहाँ से straight नाक से nose से air जाता है, coming straight here and then divided into both the lungs, right? So larynx से होते हुए, like trachea is actually, you can also call it as a protective layer to your larynx, जो आपका wind pipe होता है, right? जो ये cartilaginous flaps होते हैं ना ring structure में, ये पूरे pipe को protection देते हैं, right? So that it will not be damaged or affected directly straight away at that point, right? Apart from this, it keeps the air warm and moistened and filters as well the air which is passing down to your lungs. Because the air we are breathing in, it holds so many of microbes in it, which are not always useful for us, right? So this is how it is also protecting it. Then it branches into bronchi. Bronchi is actually composed of well-defined cartilages, right? These cartilages, cartilage क्या होता है? It's not exactly bone, not exactly soft tissue. It is something which is having its firm structure, right? And they are connective tissues mostly, right? So they are well-defined cartilage, like they are easily seen. If you have seen the diagrams, you know, bronchi is not something very sort of lachila सा कुछ ऐसा है, no. वो properly extended pipes के जैसा दिखता है. So they are well defined cartilage and they are lined with ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium means sort of brush border area, right? जो अलाउ करता है ज्यादा सरफेस एरिया. जो भी आपके इनर ऑर्गन्स होते हैं, they will always be lined with the epithelial tissues, and those epithelial tissues may be having villi, sort of any fibrous foam inside. फाइब्रस फॉर्म आई मीन टू से, एक जैसे ब्रश बॉर्डर एरिया होता है ना, जैसे हमने जीआई ट्रैक में पढ़ा था, उसी तरीके से यहाँ पे सिलिएटेड एरिया होता है. सिलिया, विलाई, फ्लेजिला, ये सब हमारे बायोलॉजी में स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं जो प्रोवाइड करते हैं मूवमेंट, मोटिलिटी एंड इंक्रीज करते हैं सरफेस एरिया. तो अलग अलग ऑर्गन सिस्टम में, अलग अलग ऑर्गेनिज्म में डिफरेंट डिफरेंट मॉडिफाइड पार्ट्स होते हैं. फॉर आवर ब्रोंकाई देयर इज सिलिएटेड एपिथेलियम. यहाँ पे जैसे इन आर जीआई ट्रैक्ट विलाइज थे, विलाइज बहुत छोटे होते हैं, नॉट वेरी इजिली विजिबल, बट सिलियाज आर सम लॉन्ग स्ट्रक्चर्स, राइट? दीज लॉन्ग स्ट्रक्चर्स आर actually able to make the flow in and out sort of, because when we are taking O2 then it is to go down, when we are exhaling CO2 it has to go upward, right? So this is how ये पूरा structure हमारा form होता है, right? So they are lined with ciliated epithelium. Right bronchi and left bronchi, because we have a pair of lungs, right? So we have right bronchi and left bronchi. Right bronchi थोड़ा सा wide and a bigger in size. Left is a bit smaller and having less branches, because it left portion of our body also has to accommodate heart, right? For that fact, it is actually a bit smaller than your right lung, or you can say right bronchus, right? So it is approximately 2.5 centimeter in length, and once it enters into lung, like जो bronchi था हमारा, वो जब lung के अंदर enter करता है, so it divides into 3 branches which we call bronchiole. Singular को हम बोलेंगे bronchus, right? So this bronchiole is further having small branches and it is again having some muscular tissue in it, right? यहाँ तक everything is clear, इसमें कोई doubt है? Okay. Now, left bronchi is not very wide comparative. Like you can't see this difference very easily and clearly, right? This is very general, or you can say not very easily visible sort of difference, right? Left bronchi is dividing into two branches, and rest the physiology is same, right? Now, these bronchi, when entered into lung, converting or extending into bronchioles. So let's talk about bronchioles now. ठीक है, so starting from nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, यहाँ तक एक complete tube like structure extend होता जा रहा है and making one organ system, right? So bronchioles, finally it is now inside lung, lungs के अंदर पहुंच गए अब, राइट? सो ब्रोंक्यूल्स आर स्मॉलर ब्रांचेस, जैसे ऑन अ ट्री ब्रांचेस देखते हो ना, नीचे एक पूरा स्टेम निकल के आता है, वहां से फिर फर्दर ब्रांचेस होती है, राइट? बट यहाँ स्लाइट ब्यूटी ऑफ द सिस्टम इज कि ये जो ब्रांचिंग है वो टू सेपरेट पार्ट्स में अलग तरीके से हो गई है. ऑन अ ट्री वी कैन सी इट सेपरेटली इन टू uniformly divided segments, right? So bronchioles are the smaller branches or the subdivisions of the bronchi, right? Which connect alveoli, which are also called as air sacs. Bronchioles जब extend होती हैं further अपनी branches में, right? Then they are then connected to a oval shaped structures, round. जैसे grapes देखे हैं कभी? Right? Obviously you must have seen, sorry. So grapes में जैसे वो हर एक part के साथ, like this is the nocule, right? And the grape is there. Just like this, bronchioles are attached with the alveoli are attached with the bronchioles, right? So grape like structure form होता है, and these alveoli are the air sacs. जैसे ही हमने air breathe in किया, ऑक्सीजन अंदर गया, ये जो alveoli है, they will be filled with oxygen, right? And they will expand because they are now filled with oxygen, right? So this is the function of the alveoli. Now bronchioles have a diameter of about, जो हमारे bronchioles होते हैं ना, like the inner part which has gone inside the lung, that is about like because it's circular, it's a pipe, so its diameter is 1 millimeter. It is that thin, 1 mm, right? The bronchioles contain no cartilage. यहाँ पे कोई cartilage नहीं होता. Cartilage सिर्फ bronchi तक रहता है जब वो lungs के बाहर है. The moment it enters into lung, it is not cartilages because हमारा पूरा एक मस्कुलर टिश्यू वहां पे डेवलप हो जाता है, सो दैट देयर विल बी नो एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ डैमेज विल अकर, राइट? कुछ बहुत हार्ड मटेरियल अगर आपके इनर ऑर्गन्स में होगा, सो देयर विल बी चांसेस ऑफ डैमेज, ऑफ कोर्स. सो टू प्रिवेंट दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग, जैसे ही इट एंटर्स इनटू लंग, इट नो मोर रिमेन्स कार्टिलेजेस, राइट? Apart from this, they are composed of muscle tissues, fibrous tissues, elastic tissues, with the innermost lining of ciliated columnar epithelium. जैसे ही ये अंदर जाता है लंग्स के, इट कन्वर्ट्स इनटू मस्कुलर टिश्यू. किस किस टाइप के मसल टिश्यू होते हैं? सिंपल मसल टिश्यू, फाइब्रस टिश्यूज एंड इलास्टिक टिश्यूज, ताकि इट विल गिव इट कंप्लीट फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी कि ये आराम से इनहेल कर पाए ना एक्सेल कर पाए, राइट? ताकि इसकी मूवमेंट में देयर विल बी नो एनी ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन. एंड इट इज देन, जैसे ही लंग्स के अंदर जाता है, लाइंड विद सिलिएटेड कोलमनर एपिथेलियम. कोलमनर एपिथेलियम मींस वहां पे कोलम्स बन जाते हैं बड़े बड़े से, राइट? So this is how it changes physiologically when it enters into lung. Then the tubes become smaller. Lungs के अंदर जाते ही tubes थोड़ी small हो जाती हैं because उसको partition में जाना होता है. And the columnar epithelial cells are replaced by a single layer of flattened epithelium. मतलब जब वो further branch होके alveoli से join होता है, वहां पे वो flatten हो जाता है completely, right? Fibrous tissues and muscle tissues disappear. The further branching of bronchiole into different septa, वहां जाते ही वो सिर्फ एक सिंगल टिश्यू बचता है which is flattened in nature and which is easy to fill the whole air in the alveoli, right? The minute bronchioles enters into the alveoli, it becomes more smaller, बहुत छोटा हो जाता है, right? And then we call it as terminal bronchiole. ठीक है? जैसे ही जो एल्वियोलाई के साथ अटैच होने वाला होगा ना ब्रोंक्यूल, like this particular thing, we call it terminal bronchiole, and the part which enters into alveoli, it is known as alveolar or respiratory bronchiole. So these are just different naming of the structure. You don't have to learn everything, but you need to know the physiologic pathway, not exactly in terms of metabolism at this moment, right, but exactly how the functions are being able to do, right. These respiratory bronchioles divide to form alveolar ducts. लाइक जहां भी किसी चीज को एंटर करना है और बाहर निकलना है, वहां पे एक पाथवे जनरेट होगा. दैट पाथवे इन बायोलॉजिकल लैंग्वेज वी कॉल एज डक्ट, right? That's what we are naming our glands as well, ductless or duct wala, sort of that, right? So जैसे ही it enters into alveoli, वहां पे एक opening का system होता है, and that way we call it as alveolar duct, right? So this is about the whole structure till alveoli. Now alveoli are very tiny oval shape or spherical shapes, granule-like structures which are actually filled with fresh air when we are inhaling and filled with deoxygenated air when we are exhaling. So this is the function of it. अब ये कैसे function करता है वो हम कल वाले सेशन में देखेंगे, right? Then this is how जो एक long pipe start हो रहा था nasal cavity से till the end point of it we have discussed in terms of structural part, right? Now we will discuss about the enclosing chamber of our this tube structure which we call as lungs, right? Lungs को आप ऐसे समझो जैसे कि एक highly vacuated chamber बना दिया गया around these pipes so that ये air ऐसे ही waste ना हो इधर उधर, right? So this is the enclosing chamber, but it is in two parts. One is in the right, one is in the left, right? So the lungs are a pair of two spongy organs. It's not very hard. It is spongy. आराम से compress हो जाता है. This is how it is, right? So it is a spongy organ which are contained inside the chest. This is the chest area. Neck से नीचे and till the last rib. ये हमारा चेस्ट एरिया होता है, यहाँ पे हमारे लंग्स होते हैं. एंड फर्दर बिकॉज इट इज स्पॉन्जी इन नेचर इट कैन बी डैमेज्ड इजीली, राइट? सो टू प्रोटेक्ट इट वी आर हैविंग आवर रिब्स एंड विच आर फॉर्मिंग अ केज. एक जेल जैसा स्ट्रक्चर बना देता है वो, राइट? Now we have two pair, like we have a pair of lung, that means two lungs we have with us, one in the each side, just like we discussed about the bronchi, bronchioles and all that stuff. They are situated in the thoracic cavity, separated from each other by heart. इसके बीच में हार्ट आ जाता है and this is how दोनों lungs separate है, otherwise दोनों आपस में collapse कर सकते थे, right? So every single organ in your body is designed way too mechanically by nature, right? This is the complex most engineering. Human body को अभी तक भी scientists have not understood completely, right? So they extend from the root of the neck above the diaphragm. Like जो हमारा diaphragm होता है जो हमने GI सिस्टम में पढ़ा था, just above the stomach, right? वहां से वो ऊपर की तरफ extend होता है just like this, right? So towards neck, यहाँ तक हमारा ये first rib होती है ना, this rib is actually to give protection. That means lungs यहाँ तक spongy tissue आया हुआ होता है हमारा, right? So this is how till neck it is extended from the diaphragm itself. Diaphragm क्या होता है? Dome shaped muscle. Dome shaped मतलब something which is going oval in a oval shape, but way too oval in nature कि वो एक तरीके से ना not very sort of flattened structure but very much aperture structure. So this is what we call diaphragm. Domed shape होता है, right? So diaphragm is there and which is actually having very important role in inhaling and exhaling. अगर diaphragm ना होता तो आपके lungs respire नहीं कर पाते. Reason is being because it is diaphragm itself. जब आपको exhale करना होता है तो ये expand हो जाते हैं नीचे की तरफ ऐसे. जब आपको inhale करना होता है तो ये contract हो जाते हैं ऊपर की तरफ ऐसे. So जो pressure आपके lungs पे लगता है that is being supported and generated with the help of diaphragm only. ठीक है. So it is very important. Now we need to understand the lobes in the lungs. Lungs ऐसे नहीं है कि एक सिंपल स्ट्रक्चर है लंबा सा flattened. No, it is designed beautifully, like the more the bronchioles are there, जैसे हमारे bronchioles ब्रांच हो जाते हैं ना थ्री सेप्टास में, राइट. तो ऐसे ही हमारे लंग्स में भी थ्री पार्टीशन इन द राइट साइड, टू पार्टीशन है इन द लेफ्ट साइड, राइट. सो दे आर पार्टीशनड विद द लोब्स. जैसे हमारे हर एक ऑर्गन में लोब्स होते हैं, इनर आउटर और समथिंग लाइक अलग अलग टिश्यूज का, ऐसे ही हमारे लंग्स में भी होता है. सो दे आर पार्टीशन इनटू लोब्स, इनर लोब, अपर लोब, लोअर लोब एंड द मिडल लोब, राइट. अपर लोब जो बिल्कुल अपर रिब की तरफ आता है, लोअर लोब जो डायफ्राम की तरफ जाता है, मिडल लोब जो हमारा इन बिटवीन बोथ द टू, ठीक है. एंड दिस इज हाउ द स्ट्रक्चरल पार्ट ऑफ लंग इज देयर. नाउ लेट्स जस्ट टॉक अबाउट कि इसकी लीनिंग कैसी होती है, कौन कौन से मसल्स इसमें होते हैं, एंड अ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, जस्ट कंप्लीटली ब्रीफ, right? Before that, any question, any doubt, if you people have, do let me know in the comments, like in the chat box only. Yeah. हाँ जी. No any questions? Everything is clear? Structural part wise? मतलब without diagram as well, I hope you people are able to understand. I'm trying my best to actually explain the things as per the part, as per your body position, right? Okay. सो लंग्स आर कंपोज्ड ऑफ ब्रोंकाई. उसके अंदर ब्रोंकाई आते हैं जैसे ही हमारा ब्रोंकस एंटर करता है, एंड दे आर कन्वर्टेड इनटू ब्रोंक्यूल्स एंड एल्वियोलर डक्ट्स एंड फाइनली द एल्वियोलाई, राइट. The trachea split into two small tubes called as bronchi. I'm just giving a quick revision of whatever we have studied abhi tak, right? Each bronchus then divided again into still smaller tubes called bronchioles and finally end into grape-like clusters of alveolar sacs. Cluster का मतलब होता है गुच्छा, right? So जो alveoli होती हैं वो एक cluster में होती हैं, हर एक bronchiole के end पे different, and these bronchio alveoli are millions billions in number. ऐसा नहीं कि दो चार alveoli हैं, no, they are, alveoli itself is plural, sorry. There are million billions of alveoli, right? So these, there are around 70 million alveoli in each lung, right? इतना सारा ऑक्सीजन वो अपने अंदर lungs अपने अंदर रखते हैं. So this is how it is very important for maintaining your lungs health, right? These are the tiny air sacs that have oxygen from the nose itself and let it enter into the blood and takes back CO2 and let it get out of the body, right? So then, apart from this, how these alveoli further functioning, we will discuss about that as well. But before that, let's just talk about the structural part of lungs. I told you it is a spongy organ, compressible है, right? इसके आउटर पार्ट में दो लेयर्स होती हैं जो इसको एक तरीके से लाइन करती हैं, लाइंड बाय अ लेयर विच वी कॉल ल्यूरा. Lural, inner neural membrane, outer neural membrane. Inner neural membrane is a bit visceral in nature, थोड़ा fatty होती है. इनसाइड वाली फैटी क्यों होती है? ताकि इट कैन एब्सॉर्ब शॉक किसी भी तरीके का. आउटर इज अ बिट ऑफ, यू कैन से नॉट विसरल बट फिलामेंटस इन नेचर, राइट. एंड इन दोनों के बीच में एक
No, ma'am, you are not audible.
दीप्ति मैम लीव कर गई क्या?
नहीं नहीं, मैम ने लीव नहीं किया, उनकी रिकॉर्डिंग भी चल रही है।
मैम उधर
बट
चैटिंग में पूछ रही थी कि उनको हम सुन पा रहे हैं या नहीं, तो भी रिप्लाई की
हाँ,
है।
मैंने लिखा इसीलिए।
अभी मैम दिख ही नहीं रहे हैं मुझे।
नहीं दिख रहे, नहीं दिख रहे, उनका शायद नेटवर्क इशू है।
हम्म।
आज इतना ही होगा, मैम ने लिखा है ना।
छुट्टी। छुट्टी
हम्म।
हो गई।
हम्म।
छुट्टी। यस, छुट्टी।
हो गई आज। आई एम वेरी हैप्पी। चलिए, फिर क्या कर सकते हैं। तस्नीम, हाउ आर यू? तस्नीम लेफ्ट। यस, वी आल्सो।
हाँ जी, सेशन इज ओवर फ्रॉम मैम साइड। ठीक है,
या
कल कनेक्ट करेंगे। ओके, बाय बाय, टेक केयर, एंजॉय एवरीबॉडी, ब्लेस यू।
रितु खन्ना जी, थैंक यू। आई एम ऑल्सो खन्ना। ओके, बाय एवरीवन।
आपका नाम?